Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Vanessa, or you can also call me Dr. B. I'm a psychologist that loves to read books, specifically fiction. I am trying to kick off the new year with a old video. So I'm going to be talking a little bit today about my December wrap up. It's a little bit late, just been very busy, as many of you may know. So obviously I'm a psychologist and I have patients that I see in the office, but I also teach. And just a side note, there are very loud upstairs neighbors. So if you hear lots of banging and squeaking and things like that, it's because they truly suck. We are kind of like at a war right now with them, where I'm literally going up there every single day and being like, hey, can you be quiet? You know, their kids are literally dropping toys on the hardwood floor and they're supposed to have carpet. So we're trying to reach out to management and all that jazz, and management's ignoring us. So we are kind of at a war right now. And I just truly apologize for if you hear any noisiness, because if it's frustrating you, it's frustrating me. So for the month of December, I participated in the Reindeer Readathon with Break Even Books with Eric and a bunch of other hosts. If you didn't know what Reindeer Readathon is about, it's essentially where each reindeer has a specific prompt. So for example, and I will put each prompt up as I go through each book. But for the prompt of Dasher, so it says, finish a series or pick up a book that you started and put down. If neither of these are options, a short story or novella. For the Dasher prompt, and I'm gonna do this a little bit out of order just because I did read a whole series and I want to put the series in order rather than go based on the reindeer. So for Dasher, I actually had started this on November 9th. And finally finished it in December. It wasn't like it took me a long time to read because it's not a very long book. I just kind of, I think I started picking up another book at the time that I was reading. It was like an arc that I was reading and it was very similar to this one. And so I had to stop reading one, and I unfortunately stopped reading this one. I thought that this was really cute, but it's Insta-love, and Insta-love's kind of like cringy. The main guy character in this book, Ben, he's like a total golden retriever. Like, they reveal at the end, like, why he was attracted to Fallon and like how they essentially came to meet. But throughout the whole story, he just kind of seemed like, not like a desperate guy, but he just was like very attached to Fallon and wanted to be around her all the time. I mean, Colleen Hoover writes great books. She definitely kept me entertained and I liked the story overall. But it definitely was cringy. I actually ended up giving this book 3 stars. So again, it wasn't bad, but my rating, my 5-star ratings are essentially like a 3 being like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. So that's kind of where this falls on that range. Okay, and then for Dancer, it's a book with a cursive, flowy, elegant font on the cover, and I actually read an arc off of Book Sirens called Bigelow, and this one was so-so. I also gave this one 3 stars. It was interesting. It was about like this doctor. So like this one is just one that I liked it while I was reading it, but I don't know if I would think about it ever again. It's kind of forgettable. So I don't know if that really means it's a 2-star, but it was interesting because I remember it talking about, I'm looking down because I'm reading some of the notes I made about it, but it's about Dr. Hannah, who is living this like more miserable life than she realizes. And there's a ghost named Bigelow who pushes her towards the life that she wants. And it includes having like a nice relationship with the guy next door, Gideon. But there is like a ghostly twist at the ending, and I don't want to spoil it for any of you who might want to read it. So it was a cute book overall, but like I said, I haven't thought about it since I read it. And so like, I don't know if that means it's like actually 3 stars. It might actually be 2 stars, unfortunately. This is where I'm going to get out of order. because Prancer was a book that was part of a series, and it's not the first in the series. For Vixen, it was a book that you want to read, but think it might be overhyped. I read Love Light Farms, and funny story about this. Around the time that I started listening to it on the audiobook, I was taking a really long trip back home, which is to North Carolina, and I live in Maryland. So I was like, I have plenty of time to listen to this book, and I share an Amazon account with my mom, so I knew she had got me the physical book. But once I got it, like when I got home, I hadn't finished it in the car, like even though we were driving around a lot. Sometimes like listening to books in the car puts me to sleep, but I actually ended up pulling out I pulled out the book from the gift bag, and I was like, oh, I know this is the book, and I started reading along with it. So I gave this book 4 stars, and I thought the book was super cute from start to finish. So it's essentially following this girl named Stella, and she like owns a Christmas tree farm, but she's trying to like bring some attention to the farm through this really this social media influencer of sorts. And she basically had said in her application that she owned the farm with her boyfriend. And so she asked her best friend Luca to essentially like pretend to be her boyfriend, so there's fake dating in this. Seems like it's a small town as well, but you know, it kind of details like their relationship and how they essentially become to be a couple. And a lot of you already know, but one of my biggest issues is like miscommunication in books. And I feel like several times throughout this book, Luca literally was like, I like you, like I want to be with you. And she's like, oh, but what if you don't want to be with me? And I was like, am I just misinterpreting this? Or like, is she really bad at like picking up that he likes her? So that was my only qualm with this book, but I did give it 4 stars. It was a cute Christmassy read. Definitely, I think is a little hyped up, but it is worth it. I think it's definitely worth it to read, especially during the holidays. But yeah, I love the cover, super cute. There's actually a series for this. So I don't know if I'll read the others in this series, but I enjoyed this one. I know a lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed this one. And then Cupid was to read a book with a favorite trope in it. So the book that I had actually picked for this one is A Merry Little Meet Cute. And this might have been better under the like hyped up books, but I really liked it. So I gave it 4 stars, and I think it's a solid 4-star for me. And it's not gonna be a 4-star for everyone. I know a lot of people who DNF'd this book did not finish because the marketing was kind of bad for it. It talks about it being a merry little meet cute. It's not very Christmassy, and you think it's gonna be Christmassy. So the reasons why I do like it though are because it's based around a former boy band member who he has a crush on this adult plus size film star who she also has a crush on him. And there were a lot of spicy scenes, which I do like my smut in books. And I really just enjoyed the plus size representation because I am a bigger girl myself. And there were some LGBTQ moments, like the main guy character was actually bisexual. There was a lot of sex positivity. So like, obviously she's an adult film star, so she's very comfortable with sex, but like just talking about sex in like a very positive way that like women, just because they have multiple partners or men have multiple partners, doesn't mean they're like whoring themselves out. You can have like fun sexual experiences with lots of different people. But again, some of the cons of the book, it wasn't really like a meet cute per se, and it also didn't give those holiday vibes. But overall, definitely like a 4-star read. Like if you want to pick up a Christmassy book, I know we're past that right now, but like if you want to pick up a kind of wintry Christmas book, I think the only reason it's kind of merry and Christmassy, holiday-ish or whatever is because they are filming, so even though she's a adult film star, she's like filming a Hallmark essentially movie that has to do with Christmas. So that's the only like holiday reference. And I don't even know if it really takes place around Christmas, but to each their own. So now I'm gonna go a little out of order again, like really out of order. And I'm gonna go straight to Rudolph because Rudolph was to start a new series. For Rudolph, I picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses. And let me tell you, I think this series changed my life. I gave the book 4 stars, okay? The first one, 4 stars, and I was like, great. We are coming out of we're hitting the gate running. I think this is actually the first book that I read for the Reindeer Readathon, but didn't expect to really like it as much. Fantasy is newer for me, I will say that. But this one is like, it's good. It has good world building, good character development. My only qualm is like, this book doesn't really need to exist. I mean, it's a good book, okay? Don't get me wrong. But like, the relationship between the 2 people in the book doesn't exist anymore. So, I mean, it's cool because he's like referenced in other books, but yeah, this one was the start of just a really good series. So like, if you really want to get into easy fantasy with some romance subplot in there, A Court of Thorns and Roses is your gal. We continued with the ACOTAR series, and I read For My Prancer book, which is a book with your favorite season on the cover, or the book cover has colors from your favorite season on it. So my favorite season is pretty much like wintry, like I would say like fall turning into winter, but winter predominantly being Christmas. Green is one of those colors. This book's green. So Achamoth, A Court of Mist and Fury. This is the second book in the ACOTAR series, and I think it just got better. So like, I try not to give half stars, but I think this one was slightly better, like maybe like 4.5 compared to ACOTAR, which is probably a true 4-star for me. Regardless, this is a 4-star, like if you're going by Goodreads ratings. But if you're kind of going like, ooh, you know, there's a little bit more to it, like it's a little better than ACOTAR, 4.5. So it really just talks about what happens to Feyre after certain events happen in the first book. It's really hard not to spoil this book, but like, it just kind of continues to follow Feyre and her relationships and like her growing and becoming, this is pretty obvious, but she becomes a high fae. So just kind of like her journey there and like what it's like and all that stuff. Then my Blitzen prompt was, Blitzen was to use a random number generator to find a number between 0 and 9 and find a book that ends in that page number. So, ACOWAR, I got really lucky with this. If you go by like the true page numbers, like of the actual book, not all the like extra stuff at the end, it has 699 pages. I got a 9 from the random number generator. So I read A Court of Wings and Ruin, or ACOWAR, and yeah, these are freaking thick books, okay? So this one really followed, it's war, okay? So perfect title for the book. But it basically, there's a war that happens and like, kind of like what happens that leads up to this war. Again, it's still following Feyre predominantly, and Rhys, or Rhysand, her partner. That's all I'll say on it, because again, I don't want to spoil these books. If you haven't read this series, go read it. Next book is Comet. So Comet is a book with an astronomical word in the title. So sun, moon, star, sky, etc. For this prompt, what I ended up picking up was A Court of Frost and Starlight. See how very strategic I was trying to get this series read? This is the smallest book in the series, okay? So this essentially is where you find out a little bit more about Feyre and how she's kind of settling into, I think she's at the Nightmare Court. I think that's the, not Nightmare. I think she's at the Night Court. And pretty much just like what happens, the aftermath of the war from the last book. And then it's also the winter solstice, which is roughly like December 21st, and that's Feyre's birthday. So what was really funny was I was literally reading this book when winter hit, and I was like, oh, like we're celebrating Feyre, okay. But I felt like this book, I think I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. It's more like a 3.75. It's a good book, just wasn't necessary. Like, it was a cute little extra, like add-on, I suppose. But again, it wasn't like I needed this book to help change my life. The other one changed my life. Okay, so good book, loved it. The last book in the series, I ended up fitting with the Donner prompt. So Donner is a book that you want to read, but aren't a fan of the cover. Not to say that A Court of Silver Flames, this cover's not ugly. I'm just not a fan of it, okay? So I have actually seen, so this was the only one that was available to me in my like local, I don't remember where I got this. I might have got this at Barnes & Noble or Target, I don't know. But wherever I picked it up, this was the only cover they had. And I've actually seen a cover that I like more, which is the, it's like a black cover. Beautiful, love it. But this book, 5 freaking stars, because I just loved everything that happened in this book. So instead of following Feyre now, this is following her sister Nesta. And Nesta and her little boo and their like relationship, and essentially it's kind of like enemies to lovers, which I really like enemies to lovers. But there's a lot of character development. There is some smut, but it's not as much as like Feyre and Rhys. They just go at it. They're feral. Nesta and Cassian have like good smutty spicy moments, but it's not overdone. They talk, they communicate. It had like everything I was looking for in a book. So 5 freaking stars, good way to end the series. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. So again, if you haven't picked up the ACOTAR series, you need to. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, because I think you need to. There were a couple of other prompts. So for example, you had some extras or some bonuses where for Christmas Star, it's a book over 500 pages, and a couple of my books met that, like some of the ACOTAR books, because they were like 600, 700 pages. But the book I think I actually chose for that one was Court of Mist and Fury. And then Christmas Lights was an ebook, and so my ebook was actually Bigelow. Christmas Carols was an audiobook, and that ended up being Love Light Farms, because I pretty much read or listened to a majority of the book as audio. And then it was only till maybe the last 50 or so pages that I actually got to sit down and read it. Once you finished all those prompts, then you could do the bonus. It's called Slaying It. And it says, if you've completed all of your prompts and the Christmas Star, Christmas Lights, and Christmas Carols bonus prompts, you can redo one prompt of your choice for extra points. So for me, what I ended up choosing was a book in a new series, like start a series. And the book that I ended up getting, it was part of my book Advent. I opened it and I was like, I'm gonna read this. Still going at it, by the way, and it's going pretty well. Like, wrap your books up, because it's a fun way to discover your next read. But I ended up getting Finlay Donovan is Killing It, and it is part of the series. Fun fact, El Casimano lives in the Northern Virginia area, and I'm like really close to Northern Virginia. I live on like the south part of Maryland, which is really close to DC, really close to Northern Virginia or Nova. And I had discovered that because I read in the back her little author page said that she had 2 sons in Virginia, and then I Googled her. And then also in the book, it was talking a lot about places in Virginia, like Reston, Chantilly, and I was like, I know where this is. Like, I used to work over there. But yeah, it's super cute book, basically about a mom. She is an author or a writer, novelist, something like that. And she is kind of struggling, like she's single momming it. The husband or the ex-husband's like still, like, he takes care of the kids or helps sort of take care of the kids, but she is struggling a little bit financially. One day she's sitting with her like publicist or agent or whatever, and talking about the new book that she's gonna write, which some woman overhears them talking and is like, she like slips her a note basically that she wants her to kill her husband. And it's just crazy because she's like, I'm a good person, like I'm not gonna go out and kill people, like, but then she sees how much it's worth, and then she like kind of accidentally kills him, or thinks she does. But it kind of like follows that story, and like what just happens and like if she's successful or not with her book. So I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really fun read. I gave the book 4 stars. So definitely recommend Finlay Donovan is killing it, especially if you're looking to kind of change things up. It's not like, it's not a spooky book. It's not like a Christmassy book. There's no real like theme to it. So it's just a good fiction book. But that was pretty much everything that I read in the month of December. I am very happy with the challenge. I think it was a really fun challenge. We had lots of like reading sprints and games and stuff that kind of like went along with it, but it really got me to, you know, push myself because I did want to finish it. So I finished it and got a lot of points for my team, and my team actually ended up winning. So congratulations to Team Stocking. You know, I think we all worked hard. Every team worked really hard, and I think it wasn't necessarily a matter of winning. It was more so a matter of having fun. So really appreciate Eric at Break Even Books for hosting the Reindeer Readathon. And, you know, if you want to join next year, definitely, I'll put the link for the readathon in the description below, and you can go check it out. You can even join the Discord channel. Like, it's open year round. It doesn't have to be just December, but you know, if you want to participate, go sign up next year. So that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what kinds of videos you'd like to see. I'm hoping to really like amp things up this year. But yeah, I hope that you have a good rest of your day. Bye.